Guys, I'm Woodrow from C.O.C. I'm just sitting here chatting. Don't know sure about what yet, but we're going to do something.
Well, we're here in Tampa, Florida, outside of the Orpheum, where you guys are playing tonight with Crowbar and The Obsession, right?
The Obsessed and band from Dallas, Texas called Mothership.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got a stacked bill. Massive package.
Now, was there any kind of pre-thought as far as how you got that lineup? Like,
Yeah,
did you guys kind of
absolutely
how'd that shake out?
Well, you know, they're all buddies of ours, and we've toured with all of them in the past previously, and so we just wanted to throw a sweet bill together that not only the fans would enjoy, that we kind of selfishly put a bunch of bands that we like to watch too. So we get to go out there and have fun every night as well. You know, it's all good.
Now, I know in a previous interview, you and I sat down and you were telling me about some of your influence with music outside of the hardcore genre.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that.
And I love kind of talking on that topic, just because I think, you know, so many people have that mentality that, oh, you're metal and you should only listen to metal. And what do you say to people kind of who have that kind of mindset as far as music goes?
I don't ever hear anybody really saying that. Everybody I know is all into, you know, a plethora of stuff. If it's real, it's real, you know?
Yeah.
From, you know, classical stuff, can be pretty burly and gnarly, to, like, you know, the real, you know, old school country stuff or old blues, you know, and all that. It's like, I think we're all sort of open to it all. And I mean, to be honest, man, I never meet anybody that's just, all I listen to is death metal. I'm sure there's people like that out there, but I don't know. Nobody that I really hang out with.
Now, in the past, I know you've said that you like Dwight Yoakam, and I know you kind of turned me on to him back in the day. So I was kind of curious, you know, what other kind of good suggestions you have for people that are kind of expanding their musical horizons, maybe looking back at past music if they're from, you know, younger generations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have any ones that you would recommend on the hit list for people to check out?
I mean, there's a million, like, classic rock bands. I would, not a million, but dozens that you could roll out, you know, and probably most of the people that are followers of C.O.C. may already know them, you know.
But I mean, like, outside of rock genre.
Outside of the rock, yeah.
Yeah, outside of rock genre.
I mean, you know, I kind of grew up when I was a kid, like, being drugged to, you know, all the bluegrass festivals and all that kind of stuff, and
it kind of seemed like bluegrass is kind of making a comeback a little bit.
I hope it does, man. I mean, as long as it's good, it's like the authentic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You see some dudes that are kind of cheesy, that are going through the motions, but I mean, real bluegrass and like old time music, like old mountain music, it's different.
Yeah.
People don't realize that it's different.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It is.
Like Yonder Mountain Yonder Mountain String Band.
Yeah.
They kind of do some of that finger picking and stuff.
Yeah,
or we were listening to Unknown Hinson on the way up here.
Now he's actually pretty good, man.
He is.
He's a little freaky, but he can really pick, man.
And he can do some good voices.
Yeah. And on that tip, who I think is even of several notches up, to be honest with you, is Junior Brown. He's bad.
Oh, really?
Check him out, Junior Brown.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put him in the...
If you like guitar work and stuff.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate some good finger picking and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know,
so I can
even some of that
Junior.
Spanish style when they get moving so fast, and you're like, how? Like, it's just a blur of fingers, and you're like, how do you even humanly possible?
That stuff is real. That's like real talent right there. I don't know anything about that, but when I see it, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it too. So, out of all the years of touring, you know, for the younger generation out there, do you have any, like, good, solid advice as far as something people should do before they even get on the tour bus?
Oh, shoot. Well, before you get on the tour bus, you're probably going to be in a van for a minute or two. So
that's the truth. Stopping at some gas stations.
And, you know, earn
truck stop showers.
Man, don't jump on the trend of the day, because by the time you get around to releasing your music, that trend will have dissipated, and everybody will move on to something else. So just do your thing, and if it's real, people will lob onto it, you know.
Yeah. Now, over the years, it's almost like you've kind of almost developed like a network of musicians that I've seen you guys maybe hang out with and tour with. Like, how does that function almost as like a family unit, if you will? Like, I know a lot of you guys kind of like Pepper's jumped into different bands over the years, like Down and whatnot, and I know musically you guys are very expanded, and so I'm just kind of curious, like, how did you guys kind of meet your family network? Like,
just coming up together, like a lot of, like for instance, this tour right here, especially Crowbar and Wino with The Obsessed, we all go way back. I mean, the first gig we played with The Obsessed was in 1984.
really?
So it's like they've been around a long time. Yeah, Wino's a legend, man. He's been at it for a long time. And of course, Crowbar, we've had to play, just like-minded people that are into real music. And even though the bands are not exactly the same, it's sort of like we have some of the same kind of fans. And it's a family. And there's other bands too, And so we always, if it's our tour that like we're putting together, like we always try to get the bands that are going to like make it happen, make it seem like a real tour. And of course we do a lot of opening slots too, which is fun. We did all last year with with Zach and the Black Label guys, so that was interesting. And
those guys are another
he's a funny guy,
interesting camps of guys.
Yeah, man, he's a very funny guy, and they're a great band.
All those guys are great.
I think we actually earned some new fans on that tour. He has fans that really didn't even know about us, but at the end of the day, they were like, yeah, okay.
And Zach Wilde's another one who he has his hands in so many different projects over the years. From Ozzy
he doesn't stop.
Wasn't he on the Jimi Hendrix Experience?
He did that, and he just got done with like the guitar, whatever they called it. It had like Ingwe on it. And Steve Vai
I remember hearing about that.
Generation X or Shred or something. Generation Shred. So he can pull all that shit off, and he was probably actually the most talented dude on that. I mean, they're all a bunch of talented guys, but I'm sure he put on the best show.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a showman for sure. Now, as far as music goes with you, have you ever expanded your horizons musically to like other instruments?
Man, I've tried. I've got like a mandolin, and I've got an old banjo, and things like that. When I was a kid, I had a cornet, which is very similar to a trumpet.
Nice.
Hey, hello. Come on, join the conversation.
Telemarketer.
So I've tried some of that stuff, but the guitar always felt the most natural to me. I've even had my hand at the 4-string version of a guitar, which what Mike Dean plays, but I wasn't good at that, and just the guitar seems to come the most natural to me, so I just sort of globbed onto that. I don't really even mess with anything else anymore.
Now, going back to that mandolin and that banjo, is that just something you kind of picked up over the years? Like you just saw it and was like, hey, that looks like a good price, I'll take it.
Kind of. It actually comes down from the old man.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got all those instruments. He's got like one of every instrument known to man, I'm going to say, close to it at his house. So I kind of grew up with all that. There was a flute, there's violins, there's cellos, stand-up basses, and
I like
you name it. And so when I was a kid, like the first instrument I actually had and tried to learn was the mandolin. But I mean, even when I was a kid, like this tiny little neck and the like double, it has 8 strings, but they're
very close together.
Tiny little chords and stuff. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That's another instrument that, sometimes they get those fingers in little positions that I'm like, man, my fingers don't work that way sometimes.
Yeah. My picking hand's not fast enough to keep up with the mandolin, That's some serious stuff.
Yeah, that is really neat. Now, on this tour, you guys are kind of picking up on some of the newer stuff that you guys have been working on too, right? So can you kind of give us a gloss over of some of the highlights of some of the newer stuff that you've been working on, like maybe some interesting stories that maybe happened during production or something?
Well, this tour, this album, the No Cross, No Crown, I've said it 100 times, but we really, 90% of it was sort of written in this, like we would show up that morning in the studio and not really have much, maybe a few riffs in somebody's head. Mike might have a riff, I might have one, Pepper, whatever, we'd throw them together. And at the end of the day, we'd have something workable on tape. The next morning we come in and iron it out and finish it out,
So just kind of more of an organic process for you.
It was a different way because, in the past we've always gone in and demoed stuff and rehearsed things for a few weeks, and we didn't really mess with that this time around. It was kind of interesting.
Nice.
Which came out good, through the course of this past year, we've been doing different songs off the new album, but we seem to like the last few days or last week or two, we've sort of, I don't know, we're not playing as much. We're like doing all these old like deep cut tunes, you know.
Hey, there's
going
nothing
way
wrong with
back.
that. Nothing wrong with that
Going
either.
way back, you know. It's something off of Deliverance maybe we hadn't played in a long time, or Wise Blood, or Volume Dealer. We're kind of reaching back and doing some stuff we haven't done in a while.
We're actually listening to some of that on the way up.
There you go. It kind of boils down to what, you know, we want to keep the attendees at the concert happy, but we also want to keep ourselves happy, you know, and do what we want to do. So
yeah,
do a little switching up.
Now, you're not going to throw any mandolin on the next coming album, are ya?
Any what?
Any mandolin on the next album? I mean, there should be like one of those little 30-second, you know, buffer tracks or something.
I think In the Arms of God had a little bit of mandolin on there. Which actually Pepper was performing that, not me. But
I remember seeing him, I think it was in Cleveland when you guys were with Motorhead, I think.
Yeah.
Did he have a mandolin on that? I think
he might have pulled one out on that,
Yeah, it's been a while. Show my age.
He's been known to yank one out on stage, so he could have been there, I'm not sure. He yanks it out on stage.
Talking to yanking out on stage. Hey, that was that Jack and Jill conversation we were talking about earlier, you know. Hey.
I'm gonna make some noise here for a second. Gotta keep the beer cold, so.
Definitely.
Very important.
Definitely. In Florida, I mean, you know, it was cool. It got down to like 60, and now it's right back up to the 80s. You know.
Poor folks down here. Wow. We were just in like Winnipeg like a week and a half ago. It was negative 40.
Yeah, a little cold for my blood. I mean, I'm from Michigan and all. I can handle it. I just, you know.
Yeah. But negative 40. Come on.
Yeah.
That was a bunch of shit.
Now, you guys are from the Carolinas originally, right?
Yeah, the band is from Raleigh. Originated in Raleigh.
And summers are pretty hot and sweaty there too, huh?
Yeah, it's not too far removed from down here. You know, it